Welcome to episode 11 of the podcast, The Tech Lounge, discussing the rise of AI native companies, a new business model.
Oh man, you always do that formal announcer voice so well.
I mean, I have to do it right. It's mandated. But all right, let's drop the act, grab a drink, and just settle in.
Sounds good to me.
Because honestly, you and I need to look closely at a really profound shift happening in the business world right now.
Yeah, we really do.
Imagine an advertising agency, right? But the chief marketing officer, the lead copywriter, and the senior data analyst are all just the exact same algorithm.
Which sounds like science fiction.
Right. It sounds like a pitch deck for the year 2030, but we are not talking about the future. We are talking about startups operating right now, today.
Yeah, completing full client campaigns before you've even finish your morning coffee.
Exactly. And the reason we are doing this deep dive for you listening is because everywhere you look, legacy software companies are basically panicking.
Oh, totally panicked.
They're just slapping the letters A and I onto their 20-year-old platforms and calling it a day. But looking at the sources we've gathered, that strategy is just fundamentally obsolete.
It is. It's a profound misunderstanding of where the technology actually is right now. We have to draw a hard line right out of the gate here.
Yeah, make the distinction.
Exactly. We aren't talking about traditional companies that are just adopting artificial intelligence to speed up an existing internal process.
Right, like giving a faster digital spreadsheet to an accountant.
Exactly, yeah. The distinction we are examining today is the AI native startup. These are organizations built from day one, from the ground up, entirely around agentic AI.
Which changes everything.
It really does. It completely rewrites the physics of how a business operates.
Okay, let's unpack this. To really understand why boardrooms at these massive legacy companies are hitting the panic button, we first have to look at the actual DNA of these new AI native startups.
Right.
Specifically, we need to examine who, or rather what, is executing the core functions of the business.
Yeah, because in a traditional software company, AI is treated as a feature, right?
Yeah.
It's a faster way to search or maybe a tool to clean up some code.
But a human is still driving the car.
Exactly. A human is still the operator. But in an AI native company, AI is the product. It is the workforce. And increasingly, it's actually the primary decision maker.
Wow.
Yeah. The data in our sources shows over 73% of early-stage startups are already integrating generative AI into their absolute core operational functions.
That is massive.
It's huge. They aren't looking at their workflow and asking, how can AI make this step 10% faster?
Right.
They're asking, how do we build an entirely new operational model that wouldn't even be structurally possible without an autonomous agent running it?
It's I think the best analogy is it's the difference between taking a traditional passenger train and sticking a GPS on the dashboard versus building an autonomous off-road rover from scratch.
Oh, that's a great way to put it.
Because one is still completely locked to the legacy tracks, the other can navigate entirely new terrain on its own. And the examples in the research are just staggering. Let's look at the advertising industry scenario I mentioned at the
Oh yeah, the agency one.
Yeah. There is a startup operating today that generates comprehensive marketing strategies. And I mean sourcing live market data, making algorithmic budget decisions, and producing the actual creative assets.
In hours.
In hours. What historically required a whole team of creatives, media buyers, and analysts coordinating over a 3-week sprint is now executed by a single person overseeing a fleet of agents.
And we see the exact same disruption in software development too.
Oh, the coding platforms.
Yeah, there's a platform on the market right now where users simply type a text description of the web application they want, and the AI agent generates the whole thing.
A whole app.
The whole app. It isn't just writing a snippet of code. It's provisioning the back-end database, writing the front-end user interface, and setting up all the API routing.
That is insane.
And get this. That specific company hit $20 million in annual recurring revenue in 8 weeks.
8 weeks.
8 weeks. To put that into perspective, hitting that revenue milestone used to take the most successful, well-funded SaaS companies years of aggressive sales grinding.
Right, because the scaling bottleneck has been completely removed.
Exactly.
We're seeing it everywhere. There are customer support platforms where chatbots are autonomously resolving 80% of complex support tickets.
Yeah.
And not just answering FAQs, but actually digging into user accounts and issuing refunds or changing shipping routes, which slashes operational overhead by 30%.
Wild.
And in media, synthetic video startups are cutting production times by 62% because the so-called production team is just an algorithm matching a generated script to a synthetic human avatar.
Right, there's no camera crew.
No cameras at all. But this brings up a foundational friction point for me.
Okay, what is it?
If the algorithm is writing the code handling up to 46% of it in some supported languages, according to the deep dive,
Yeah.
and another algorithm is running the marketing spend and another is doing customer support, what is the actual human team doing?
That's the big question.
Like, are we looking at the dawn of the completely founderless startup?
Well, we are definitely entering the era of a nano business.
Nano business, I like that.
Yeah, the human role is shifting radically from manual execution to high-level orchestration. You no longer need a headcount of 50 people to launch a global enterprise product.
Right.
You might just need 2 founders who are incredibly skilled at system architecture and prompt engineering. They manage a fleet of autonomous agents.
So they're more like conductors of an orchestra.
Exactly. The human sets the strategic vision and the operational guardrails, and the AI executes the thousands of granular micro-tasks required to achieve that vision.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Because human employees aren't the ones doing the daily clicking, logging in, and performing these software tasks anymore. The fundamental economic model of the software industry is breaking down.
Yes.
I'm talking about the death of the per-seat pricing model.
Oh, it is a severe crisis for legacy vendors.
Yep.
For decades, software as a service, or SaaS, has generated revenue based on how many human users, how many seats need a login credential.
Right, you hire 10 new marketing coordinators, you buy 10 new software licenses.
Exactly. But if Agentic AI is autonomously completing the tasks of the marketing coordinator, the junior developer, and the data entry clerk, the number of active human employees plummets.
Yeah, they don't need logins.
Right. You simply cannot invoice a client per seat when there are no humans sitting in the seats.
So how does a vendor actually survive this transition? I mean, if an AI startup is providing all this incredible business value, but they can't charge a flat rate per user, how do they capture revenue?
They are forced to pivot to consumption-based or outcome-based pricing.
Okay, makes sense.
And the mechanics of this are driven by the raw cost of computing. When an AI agent thinks when it processes a complex prompt, retrieves data, and generates a novel solution, that process is called inference.
Inference, right.
And AI inference requires intense variable computing power. If an agent gets stuck on a complex supply chain problem and has to loop through 50 different calculations to solve it, that burns expensive server time.
Ah, so it actually costs the startup real money every time the AI thinks hard.
Exactly. So software vendors have to charge based on the compute resources consumed or maybe a percentage of the business outcome delivered to protect their own profit margins. A flat $10 a month subscription will bankrupt an AI company if the user asks the agent to do something computationally expensive.
Wow. Which means the way you sell this technology has to change entirely.
Oh, completely.
A sales rep can't just email a generic PDF brochure to an IT manager with a list of features anymore. The sales motion has to be hyper-verticalized.
Yes.
You aren't selling a blank dashboard that the client configures themselves. You are essentially interviewing for a job.
That's a great way to put it.
You are selling a bespoke, autonomous digital worker that has to deeply understand the incredibly specific, messy reality of, say, a logistics company versus a healthcare provider.
That's spot on. And because these AI systems require such deep, customized integration, traditional software sales engineers are finding themselves totally out of their depth.
Because they just know how to sell features.
Right. They know features, but they don't know how to wire a neural network into a client's legacy database.
Yeah, that's a whole different skill set.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This gap has created a completely new role, which the industry calls the forward deployed engineer, or FDE.
FTE, okay.
These are elite technical experts who embed themselves physically or virtually within the client's organization for months at a time.
Wow, months.
Yeah, because the client's data is usually trapped in 15 different unorganized silos. The FDE's job is to build the custom connective tissue so the AI agent can actually read that data, reason with it, and take action.
Because under an outcome-based pricing model, if the agent can't access the data to deliver the result, the startup literally doesn't get paid.
Exactly. You nailed it.
Yeah.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, the purchasing dynamics have entirely shifted.
How so?
Buying an AI agent isn't an IT department's software upgrade anymore. Because these systems fundamentally alter the headcount, the operational speed and the profit margins of the enterprise, these decisions have elevated directly to the C-suite and the board of directors.
You are selling core business transformation.
Precisely.
But, to sell a transformation of that scale and to confidently charge for those high-level autonomous actions, the underlying technology infrastructure has to be absolutely bulletproof.
100%.
An AI-native company simply cannot run on a traditional 1990s relational database.
No way.
If an AI agent is going to act autonomously, say, deciding to reroute a massive cargo shipment across the globe, or auditing a year's worth of financial records, it needs more than a digital filing cabinet where facts are passively stored.
It needs a brain.
Exactly. It needs an active brain.
Yeah.
The industry is calling this the shift from a passive system of record to an active system of reason.
That framing gets right to the core of the engineering challenge. For 40 years, the database was just an immutable, silent vault. It only recorded the actions that humans took.
Right.
But autonomous agents are required to perceive an environment, reason through ambiguous data, and act. The infrastructure has to be entirely rebuilt to support that cognitive loop. The research actually outlines 3 distinct phases of this new AI database architecture: perception, cognition, and action.
So let's break down the mechanics of that. Phase 1 is perception. How does the AI actually see the business in real time?
Well, legacy database architectures are inherently fractured. Companies usually have operational databases that handle live, to-the-second transactions, and separate analytical data warehouses that store historical trends.
Right, they're split up.
Yeah. So an AI agent trying to operate on that divided architecture is basically trying to drive a car while only looking at last week's traffic report.
Oh man, that's way too slow.
Way too slow. To solve this, AI native infrastructure relies on HTAP, which stands for Hybrid Transactional and Analytical Processing.
Okay, HTAP.
This allows the database to process live data and run complex historical analytics simultaneously on the exact same system without crashing.
But HTAP isn't the end of the story. The sources emphasize a new addition to that acronym HTAP plus V.
Yeah.
V stands for vector processing, and this is crucial because it changes how a computer understands language. Can you explain how vector processing actually gives an agent, intuition?
Sure. Think about how traditional databases search. They use keyword matching.
Right.
If you search the word dog, it looks for the letters D-O-G. It's very rigid. Vector processing works by translating words, sentences, or even images into long strings of numbers and plotting them on a multidimensional map based on their underlying meaning.
Okay, a semantic map.
Exactly. So if a customer angrily types into a chat, "Where's my stuff?" and another customer submits a formal delivery dispute ticket, a traditional database sees 2 completely different strings of text.
Right, no matching keywords.
But a vector database plots both of those phrases in the exact same semantic neighborhood on the map. The agent instantly perceives that both customers mean the exact same thing, even though they use different words.
Wow.
It allows the agent to process messy, unstructured human reality.
Okay, so that covers perception. The agent can see the live data and understand the intent, but seeing a problem isn't the same as solving it.
True.
Phase 2 is cognition. How does the agent remember a convoluted company policy from 3 years ago and apply it to that delivery dispute?
That requires a tiered memory system.
Tiered memory.
Yeah, the AI needs a short-term memory, which engineers call a low-latency scratch pad.
Scratch pad, right.
That keeps track of the immediate steps of the task it's currently executing, so it doesn't lose its train of thought mid-sentence. But it also needs access to a sprawling long-term memory to retrieve specific company policies from a petabyte-scale historical archive.
And to navigate that long-term memory, the industry is migrating from standard RAG to graph RAG.
Yes, this is a massive shift.
I think this is one of the most fascinating leaps in the research we looked at, because standard AUG, which stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation, is essentially like giving the AI a library card.
Right.
You ask it a question, it runs into the company's database, finds the specific document with the isolated fact, and brings it back.
It's a great fetch mechanism.
But it doesn't synthesize. GraphRag, however, operates on knowledge graphs. It's like giving the AI a detective's corkboard covered in photos and connected by red string.
It's a brilliant way to visualize it. I love the corkboard analogy.
Let's say an agent is trying to resolve a supply chain delay. Using GraphRag, the agent looks at the corkboard and sees that a port strike in Seattle is one node.
Okay.
It follows the red string to see that the strike affects a specific shipping container, which is node 2. That container holds a vital component, node 3.
Right.
Which means a VIP customer's premium order will be delayed, node 4. The agent traverses all those connected nodes to independently reason through the crisis and automatically emails the VIP customer a discount code before the customer even realizes there's an issue.
It's incredible.
It isn't just retrieving data, it is synthesizing entirely disparate ideas to form a novel conclusion.
And that proprietary corkboard, your specific enterprise knowledge graph, is what creates a sustainable competitive advantage.
Yeah.
Everyone has access to the exact same foundational AI models from OpenAI or Anthropic.
Yeah, the models are basically commodities now.
Exactly. Your competitive moat isn't the model, it's how deeply and accurately your internal data is mapped and connected. But that leads us directly to the third phase action.
Right.
If your agent is going to start automatically emailing VIP customers or rerouting shipping containers based on its own reasoning, you need absolute verifiable trust.
Which introduces a completely new operational discipline, because you can't just use standard software DevOps to manage these agents.
No, you must implement AgentOps.
AgentOps.
When autonomous systems are making thousands of unprompted decisions at machine speed, human oversight becomes the ultimate bottleneck. AgentOps is a dedicated framework designed specifically to monitor, trace, and debug the AI's logic.
Like tracking its thought process.
Exactly. If an agent mysteriously denies a customer's loan application, you need an immutable chain of thought logged in the database. You have to be able to audit the exact mathematical breadcrumb trail of why the agent arrived at that specific conclusion.
Which brings us to the very sharp edge of this entire technological shift.
Yeah, the scary part.
Exactly. We are talking about autonomous agents running on advanced cognitive databases, completely upending SaaS pricing models, rewriting code, and acting on behalf of the company. The financial and security risks of this level of autonomy seem staggering.
The risks are profound, and dealing with them is really the dark side of the AI native transition. Accountability is currently an incredibly complex legal gray area.
Oh, I bet.
Consider a scenario where an autonomous agent hallucinates during a negotiation and offers an enterprise client a core software product for $1 instead of $100,000.
Oh, wow.
Who carries the financial liability for that executed contract?
That's a great question.
Is it the single employee who initialized the prompt? The startup that deployed the agent? The foundational vendor who supplied the underlying language model?
It's a mess. Not to mention the pure cybersecurity vulnerabilities. I mean, you are handing an algorithm an unprecedented level of freedom to execute commands across your entire network.
That is a major concern. Poorly governed agentic systems open up entirely new, complex attack vectors. We're seeing a massive rise in prompt hacking or prompt injection.
Oh, where they trick the AI.
Right. Malicious actors use hidden text on a website or subtly manipulated inputs to trick the autonomous agent into bypassing its restrictions. The agent might be tricked into revealing sensitive internal financial data or even executing unauthorized wire transfers because it thought it was following a legitimate administrative command.
Let me stop you there and push back on this, actually.
Go for it.
Because if I'm a venture capitalist looking at this landscape, why on earth would I risk millions of dollars on a startup consisting of 2 founders, 0 traditional employees, and a fleet of autonomous agents that carry these terrifying algorithmic security risks and murky legal liabilities?
That's a fair point.
I mean, one hallucinated contract could invite a lawsuit that completely wipes the startup off the map. Does a VC really care about innovation if the compliance risk is that high?
The VCs are overwhelmingly taking that risk because the raw unit economics are just too compelling to ignore. Look at the data from the first quarter of 2024. 60% of all global venture capital funding went exclusively to AI companies.
60%, that's more than half of all money.
Yes, they are aggressively funding these startups precisely because the capital efficiency is historically unprecedented. If an AI native company can achieve $20 million in revenue with a team of 5 people instead of the traditional headcount of 50, the profit margins are astronomical. The speed to market is exponential because an agentic workforce doesn't sleep, it doesn't require benefits, and it iterates on code instantly.
So they view the liability as just a solvable engineering problem rather than a deal breaker?
Exactly. And the data actually shows a dual reality regarding security. Yes, agents introduce new vulnerabilities, but AI-enabled threat detection is proving to be incredibly robust.
Oh, fighting fire with fire.
Basically, yeah. Recent industry reports show that organizations deploying AI for their security operations reduce the financial impact of a data breach by an average of $1.76 million compared to companies relying just on human security analysts.
Wow, that's a huge saving.
The capital is flowing into building out those rigorous AgentOps and security layers to protect the golden goose.
So what does this all mean? For the rest of the workforce, I mean. If the VCs are funding companies that operate with 5 people instead of 50, are we just staring down the obsolescence of the human knowledge worker?
Well, we are looking at a fundamental evolution, not obsolescence. The industry is moving toward a model of hybrid intelligence.
Hybrid intelligence? Sure.
Will traditional repetitive roles like junior copywriters, tier 1 customer support, or basic data entry shrink rapidly? Yes, absolutely. But entirely new categories of employment are emerging to govern these systems.
Right, like the FDEs we talked about earlier.
Exactly. And companies are desperately hiring prompt engineers, agent coaches whose sole responsibility is to run simulations and evaluate an agent's performance, and Gen AI safety leads tasked with mitigating the exact prompt injection and hallucination risks we just discussed.
So the human premium is shifting toward complex strategic thinking, deep creative synthesis, and empathetic relationship building.
Spot on.
It is a complete structural transition from the human-centric enterprise to the algorithmic enterprise. Whether you are listening to this right now while whiteboarding a nano business in your garage, or you're managing a legacy department at a Fortune 500 company, the fundamental rules of scale and operations are being rewritten.
They absolutely are.
The future belongs to the architects who design the systems, not just the managers who oversee people.
What's fascinating here is that historically, every major technological leap has created more opportunity than it destroyed. The World Economic Forum estimates that 97 million new roles will emerge globally directly from this new human-machine division of labor.
97 million. That's encouraging.
The nature of everyday work is just moving up the stack from hands-on manual execution to high-level curation and system architecture.
It really forces you to completely reconsider our baseline assumptions about corporate hierarchy. We started this deep dive talking about an ad agency run by algorithms, but take that to its logical, extreme conclusion.
Okay.
As companies become entirely algorithmic, run by autonomous agents, perceiving live data, reasoning through proprietary knowledge graphs, and negotiating contracts with other autonomous agents at machine speed, will the enterprise of tomorrow even require a human CEO in the traditional sense?
It's a wild thought.
Right.
Yeah.
Or will the founder of the next global juggernaut simply be the person who sat down at a blank interface and wrote the very first prompt? Something to chew on. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.